The National Guard just deployed to Chicago, and it is not what people were expecting. As a reporter, I've interviewed guardsmen about the recent deployment to major cities like Los Angeles, D.C., and now Chicago, as well as gotten leaked documents about the missions. What they described is almost nothing like what's being reported in the media. On Monday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott posted this photo to social media showing Texas National Guardsmen boarding a C-130 military cargo plane en route for Chicago. Abbott added this caption saying, "The elite Texas National Guard, ever ready, deploying now." But when the Guard arrived in Illinois on Tuesday, the photos told a very different story. Far from the elite warriors of Greg Abbott's imagination, these were just average guys. The photo quickly went viral as people expressed shock at the difference between what they expected the Texas National Guard to look like and what it did. To give you a sense of the response, here are some of the replies just to the version of the picture that I posted to my social media. Meal Team 6. Elite National Guard. Texas Roadhouse Rangers. Gravy Seals. Lap Band of Brothers. Rolo Cop. Texas National Lard. Not very nice, obviously, but I guess that's what happens when you deploy to another state without the consent of that state's governor. The response and just the general shock that people had at the photo is interesting because it shows how little understood the National Guard really is. Far from some kind of elite fighting force, the National Guard is more like regular guys. In fact, many of them work on a part-time basis and hold down full-time jobs in the civilian world. When I interviewed guardsmen about these recent deployments, they told me again and again and again how much they did not want to be there. They described the mission as pointless theater, a phrase that I heard come up repeatedly. Internal Army briefings leaked to me supported this notion of it just being theater. As this briefing on the Los Angeles deployment shows, it was really just a, quote, show of presence. In some cases, National Guardsmen even expressed reluctance about the mission on the military's own official media.
I think we all feel a little bit anxious about why we're here.
At first, it was a little scary, not knowing what I'm jumping into.
The leader of the Oregon National Guard even sent his troops a letter expressing unease about the mission and acknowledging their own anxiety about it. A copy of that letter was leaked to me. I subsequently reported it, and you can see it here. The news media really hasn't done a very good job of explaining the basic point of these National Guard deployments. In a nutshell, their mission is to support law enforcement. The dirty secret here is they actually don't have any authority to engage directly in law enforcement themselves. None whatsoever. That's why you keep seeing these hysterical videos of National Guardsmen just ambling around, picking up trash, trying to make themselves useful, because that's all they have the power to do. They don't actually have law enforcement authority. None of this is to say it's a good thing to have the military marching through American streets. It's not. It's a waste of their time and our tax dollars. Most importantly, it's corrosive to democracy just on a symbolic level to have the military playing any role in civic life. But here's what it isn't. It isn't an elite fighting force that's going to raise the entire country and put down all the protests. What people really should be worried about, in my view, is not the National Guard, it's ICE. Not just because they lack the authority to carry out law enforcement because of posse comitatus, but also just because of the culture. They don't have the same cowboy culture as ICE does and some of these other Homeland Security agencies. Put simply, the military is just more professional. So again, if you want to worry about something, worry about ICE or any number of these other Homeland Security agencies that most people have never heard of. Did you know, for instance, that ICE has its own version of the FBI called Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI for short? Or that Border Patrol, contrary to popular wisdom, can actually operate within 100 miles of any border, which just happens to include the majority of the American population? These are some of the issues the media could be covering instead of hyperventilating about one of the least harmful parts, the National Guard.